I can. Can you hear me?
All right, we're good. We're good.
What was that button you pressed? That seemed to work it.
I think it's my stupid headset. I just unplugged it and replugged it, and now I think we're good to go.
All right, beauty.
Perfect,
Okay.
loud clear. All right, hey,
Oh,
so thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. It really means a lot.
man, that's all good. Thank you very much for having me on.
Of course, of course. Just to introduce myself, my name is Austin. I run the website and social pages for We Write About Music. And yeah, super happy to have you on. I promise I won't take up too much of your time.
Oh man, no problem. I got the day free, so we can chat. You're all
Oh,
good.
nice. All right, good to hear. Good to hear. Well, I'll keep it short for your sake anyway.
All right.
All right. So to begin, I just wanted to say congratulations on the release of Mr. Prism. Absolutely love the song. It's fantastic. It kind of came out of nowhere. It was super nice to see that. But I wanted to talk about the music video because it's insane.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
what can you tell us about how it came about? I love the claymation, and it takes some crazy turns.
Yeah. So we actually had this idea where we had a music video that was going to be all four of us trying to come up with a theme for a music video that was going to be like actual real life. So we had a guy, John, who was filming, and I ended up having to get my wisdom teeth out, so I couldn't do any filming. But we had this like end scene of where everything goes into claymation for like one part, where it's like the sort of candy world thing, and then we were like, well, why don't we just run with that idea and give Ollie Jones, the creator, like free reign? So we kind of had a bit of a chat. Have you seen that Simpsons claymation where like the bullies come in and like slice everyone up?
Oh yeah, I'm assuming that's where the inspiration came
Yeah.
from.
And we were like, I was talking to Ollie, I was like, this video, and he was like, oh yeah, I've had that guy on my podcast. So he was like, apparently it was all around like that sort of style. So we're like, man, like perfect. Like, let's kind of go with that kind of theme and run with it. And Ollie just spent like, it found because England had like a mini heat wave. So all his clay models kept melting. So he couldn't get
Oh
like the
jeez.
deadline kept getting pushed back and back. But it's so funny like how it actually came together. And like, yeah, what an amazing project he managed.
It's really cool. I've watched it a few times at this point, and it gets more ridiculous with each watch. So congrats on that, and whoever put it together did a fantastic job.
I'll tell him.
So I would hope and assume that the release of a single might signal that something else is on its way. I don't know how much you can reveal or how much you want to say, but definitely curious.
We literally just got our masters back yesterday for the new record. So I've sort of been listening through different headphones and speakers and the car system. And yeah, I was in the car. I was like, oh my God, it's way too trebly. And then I realized that my car speakers gone up to 10 on treble. I was like,
No.
do this to me, like really intricately listening in the car. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, so that's like now just going through the whole process of being like, all right, the sort of the master tweaks, which usually is nothing. I mean, the amount of time it took mixing was a lot longer than usual because we're obviously back in Perth. So the
Mhm.
last record actually were mixing it on the road while we were touring America. And like there was all these little bits and pieces that, so we were obviously listening in the car a lot of the time when we had the free time. It's like the loud noise of like the tires on tarmac just going like it was really hard to hear anything. A lot of the time we were like, more sub, more kick. And then you'd listen with the headphones on, it'd be like, so like, yeah, it was a shocking one to mix. Yeah, while like away. So now it's been like, I've been around Jelly's house, the guy who's mixed the record, and just been sitting with him like each day, like waking him up. He's a late waker, so he gets up at like 12. So, I don't know. So I'm just there at like 8 in the morning, just writing notes and be like, Jelly, wake up, call me back. I've got this idea. So,
That's
but he'll be happy.
awesome.
Glad it's finished.
Oh, so it's finished at this point.
It's finished. It's very finished. We've got the artwork down, and yeah, I'm just putting together the album like sleeve, the inner gatefold at the moment. So yeah, I think the plan of release is like early next year, as in like January
Okay.
time. So I think because at the moment it's obviously, I think we'd want to release it now, but
Of
the
course.
vinyl manufacturing is taking like a stupid amount of time because of obviously COVID, and so yeah, I think it's about like a at the moment like a 3-month turnaround, almost 4-month turnaround to get physical product. So it's
That
sort
makes
of,
sense.
yeah. So now we got a date back. So we're like, all right, sweet, we'll release it for them. So yeah, the next part is just waiting.
Of course. Well, hey, that's great to hear. We're really excited for something new. And that kind of brings me to my next question. I'm glad you brought it up. You have to be aware at this point of how people treat your vinyl releases, right? They treat them like
Yeah.
they're gold.
There's some stuff, and yeah, I saw one went for like $500 on was it Discogs?
Oh yeah.
Silly. Yeah, that was like so silly. I mean, yeah, because it's probably like the part one record was
Mm-hmm.
zero for us because it was just done in our bedrooms, and I was living in a barn at the time, and like so we were just using all these sort of mics that we've collected over the years. I actually sung the whole thing on a lot of the tracks were sung through a SingStar mic, like because
Okay.
I did microphone. So and it just was so bad, but it's like it's made for singing, so I was like, I guess it can work. So yeah, but the vinyl though, yeah, that's like, I mean, we wouldn't be a band without that, like
Of course.
support records. Yeah, the resurgence it's unreal.
It is,
Yeah,
yeah. Is
yeah,
absolutely wild. The amount of people and the amount of money that your guys' resell for. I mean, I'm lucky enough to own one of them, and honestly, I feel like I could retire early by selling it at this point.
oh, that's nice.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Well, I mean, I'll make sure to keep an eye out for whenever the pre-order goes up on this one.
I think we're actually putting out. It was supposed to be today, but next week I think we're gonna do repress of the part 1 and 2 anyway. So
Oh,
that should
fantastic.
got a different cover as well. It looks pretty sick. If I was on the
Okay.
laptop, I'll show you a picture.
That's all
So
right. I follow you
yeah,
guys. I'm sure I'll see it. I'm sure I'll spend the money. um, awesome. That's really great to hear. So, I mean, considering there's a new album on the way, it's tough. You know, when I heard Mr. Prism, it sounds like an evolution of the last album. But if you had to kind of describe this future sound using your existing discography, how would you describe it basically?
yeah, I think it definitely is sort of an evolution of the last record because I got really into like that sort of glitchy guitar sound, like 70s-esque tones, like T-Rex and bits and pieces. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Glenn kind of touched on it, and just seeing that, like when we got it together, it sounded really good when we were jamming it, and then when we played it live, it just instantly became like the biggest song we had, which was amazing. And I think it definitely tied the gap from sort of niche market or fans or people who knew us to sort of get a bit more radio play, which was hell weird. So that was the first time we were like, I mean, psych rock's like the most mainstream thing now. It's like Tame
It's
Impala and
crazy. I know.
yeah,
Tame kind of set it together for everyone.
yeah, that's amazing. So back when we started out, it was almost this like punk rebellion thing of being like, yeah, we'll be a psych rock band because that never gets played on the radio. Now it's just like the only thing that gets played on the radio is this music. So it's kind of interesting. So this time round, it was like I wanted to do a Sergeant Pepper's cross Nirvana, Nevermind cross Youth and Young Manhood, Kings of Leon. So
Okay.
it was like if those three were sort of jammed together in one album, I was almost like shooting sort of golf balls into the bucket, being like, if it went in it, then it was in that world, it would stay on the album. But if it was just outside of it, I'd sort of leave it for another record. So, because there was a lot of stuff, I really got into like 9 Inch Nails and man, loads of Slipknot and stuff, which was so
Oh,
weird. Like I listened to that sort of real heavy production, like religiously, and it just blew my mind. I was like, this is mad. So I got really carried away and started writing like a half metal record, and then had all these like jingly upbeat 70s tracks, and I was like trying to push them all together, and it just wasn't working. And we had a sort of playthrough back in May of like what the album or my track listing, and everyone was like, I feel like we just need some changes. And luckily I just sort of went back to the drawing board a bit and tried to be like, all right. And that's when the concept of being like, if I'm just aiming at 3 albums to kind of give myself more of a I don't know, some guidelines, I suppose, to what to write, because and it's almost from that left me like with this huge desire to keep making concept albums, because you can't, like, when someone says write what you can or draw me anything, like paint me a picture, but you can do whatever you want, it's so hard. Your brain is just like, I don't know, do like a cowboy with some like tentacles or something. You're like, it's going to be difficult to come up with a concept. But when you have got something, if they're like, all right, now draw me the like some guy sitting on a mountain, it's like, so you can get more creative with that concept than you can with anything. So
Sure.
I feel like guidelines to, and that's what I did for this record. So it was a lot easier to sort of sway and get bits and pieces happening. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, honestly, I mean, when you're creating an album, it sounds like as many songs as you might have, you want them to sound cohesive in a sense. You want it to sound like it's all on the same album and not kind of just like B-side here, B-side there, throw it on. It's all got to be, no,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work on your guys' end. It's a lot of experimentation for sure.
Oh yeah, I think it made it more fun though. Definitely,
Yeah.
once you find it down, it was like, and it came a lot later from like the first stuff I was writing. So it was almost like once I had like 20 tracks, I was like, I got that's it, and that's track one, and that was kind of all the rest of the songs. So I really like them, but they sort of just don't fit anywhere. They're all this weird mess. But so I've got a good concept for the fifth record to sort of tie it all together. So yeah.
Nice. So, I mean, with that being said, it sounds like you have full creative control and creative freedom. Being on your own label must be pretty nice in that regard, and not really necessarily having to listen to someone say, hey, we want this sound. So what are the kind of the differences of being on your own label as opposed to, you know, having someone kind of over your shoulder?
I suppose you can just work on things like in your own time, and really, like, if you get a deadline, you sort of get, there's a daunting task of dread of like if they're going to change it, or if people are like, I don't know, sometimes if you don't set yourself a time frame, you'll never finish a product. So it's kind of like, I kind of took that work ethic from, so I used to do graphic design, and I remember like if someone gave you a 2-month project as opposed to a week project, the work is still probably just as good,
Right.
but setting yourself that time frame as well. So if you're like spending 2 weeks on a song or something, I would be like, all right, I've got to kind of scrap it. But I don't know, maybe the best analogy of working with your own label is, yeah, you can just put out anything. And also I think it allows us to, if we wanted to create solo projects eventually, like Luke, our guitar player, working on his solo project, so he's just pumping all his time into that, and it's like, and then he knows he's got a label that will just hopefully grow as big as the band does, and we can just be like, here's Luke's work, here's something I've been doing that doesn't fit on Paul Crumpets, or here's this other little strange like electronic thing that we want to do that's Prodigy-esque bangers. So yeah, I suppose that freedom of being able to write whatever you want at any point, and not being like, oh yeah, you're logged in for 2022 after we do all these other people.
Exactly. Well, I mean, yeah, it's really nice to kind of do what you want when you want and start your own little family as well. I mean, that's basically what a label is at this point.
Yeah,
Take people under a wing and give them that spotlight.
definitely.
So I saw that you guys made a post maybe a couple days ago at this point. You're playing shows again, real in-person shows. You have to be unbelievably excited, right?
Oh yeah, it's still it's like it's half capacity, but we just don't care. It's like
Doesn't matter.
Person, I think just to go back and actually do something live, and I like sort of get those cobwebs off, because your first show of like, how it must have been, I mean, it's the same for everyone. It's like every band's starting again. There's like almost like music and music afterwards, and it's even the same with film. Like there hasn't been a movie out in, I think Tenet is like the first new movie in
right.
I can remember. Everyone is going to judge me like, or they're going to, it's almost got free reign because they're like, movies start again. So that's just like a 10 out of 10 movie, like 10, 10, 10, because no one's got anything else. Like they just really want to see it. So, because we've been going to watch, since the bars have been back open, just watching live music, you're like, oh my God, this is what I want. Spilling beer down myself and getting tinted. Like, why would I not want this?
Oh, so jealous. I don't know if I mentioned it. We're based out of Los Angeles. So it is going to be quite a while until we see a real normal show. So,
yeah.
and that's
but
okay.
I mean,
but
at least Los Angeles will still have like if it goes to the same as Perth or something, you have all the best LA bands, California to
Oh
like
yeah.
go and watch. Because I suppose it's like it wouldn't. Because yeah, is America doing it like stages where they're like, now we can do 100 cap, or is
Who
it
the hell?
like,
We don't know
yeah,
what's going on over here. There's no
yeah,
stages. There's no rules. No one's in charge. We just have a big baby making decisions for 300
yeah,
million people.
yeah? It's kind of scary. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully, at least you'll have all the LA bands to go watch. Will be nuts. That'll be
Exactly. I'm more
just
concerned about the stages. I mean, there's so many venues in LA that are just kind of sitting there dormant, not able to. I mean, there's already been so many that have closed permanently at this point. So I mean, I hope that the bands can stay afloat by selling merch. And, Bandcamp has been huge over the past 3 to 4 months as well.
yeah,
But yeah, the venues, if they can't stay open, who knows what's going to go on with concerts.
yeah, yeah. It is a weird time, isn't it, for live music? And
Super weird.
I always find it's like it probably doesn't affect the bands who are already established. It's more the ones who are sort of just coming up, who are just
Oh yeah,
getting a roll into the industry, and then it's like, and your livelihood's gone. Then you got to go back to work. So it's like, yeah, that would be so criminal at that point. But
it's rough.
yeah,
Well, enough about America. Don't need to focus on us anymore. But okay, so half capacity. So obviously, or how big are these venues that we're talking? Is a mosh pit still going to happen? I don't care if you got to wear a
yeah,
mask and do it. I can't
I
listen to
think
your guys' music and not bump around.
yeah, I think it's about 250 cap. So
Oh,
the
okay.
venue 450, so we're doing 250 there plus guests, and then so hopefully it'll be 300 people. I mean, that's perfect. That's like,
Oh yeah.
if I had to choose a size show, it'd probably be like 300, just because you have enough that there's still people buzzing, there's still like room to go to the bar, and it's like, it's not like the bigger you get, the more it feels like the room's too big, if that makes sense. Like
It's
even 500
overwhelming. I get that.
cap's good, that's a good room, but then as soon as you get to like your thousands and bits and pieces, it's like the sound isn't. You always get like some people like, the sound was amazing, and then you get one behind the speaker. Like, well, I couldn't hear anything. You're like, it's because you were behind the speaker. Like you just like pushed there, but
Exactly.
yeah. But yeah, I think it's a good start to sort of jump back in. So, and the venues in Perth are like, we got some pretty good venues. So they've been around for quite a while. This one we're doing called Badlands used to be like a Kontiki bar. So it's got like a volcano like hanging from the roof and all these. It's like walking into the inside of like a volcano, like a den. So yeah, it's strange. It's good though. Like glittery red floor. So you're just like, oh, but it should be good. Hopefully we can do a streaming thing. I wouldn't mind doing that. Like that would be interesting. Just chucking it up online and being like doing it, at least streaming the gig, so it doesn't feel like we're all by ourselves. I think your sound's gone. There you go.
Good.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? That venue sounds pretty awesome. We need some tiki bar venues over here. I mean, you guys at this point have played pretty much all over the world. What have been some of the favorite venues that you've played at? Any country specifically?
Oh man, like yeah, I think like the first time we went to like Europe and those places, like we were only doing like maybe 150 cap, 200 cap rooms,
Oh,
but
wow.
they walk in and the promoters there have got like a smorgasbord of food, fruit, like drinks and beer. There's beer fridges, and they're like, and here's rum and here's all this, and you're like, man, we're playing to like 150 people, like a like a festival class, like
So
those places.
classy.
Yeah, I know. And
That's
then you're like,
amazing.
yeah, it's. I mean, the hospitality over in Europe is so good. Like they treat artists like literally artists. Like they're sort of like they fund like like bands and stuff to actually go and tour with like management teams. And so
Mhm.
we're working with a band in France who they supported us for a few shows, and they get like grants if they're at uni or whatever, and they can apply for this grant. They were like, okay, they'll literally pay them a living wage for like a year to pursue trying to do music and tour and all this stuff. So
What?
Yeah,
That
it's
sounds
nuts.
amazing.
I know. They're probably really like hard to get, but I was
Yeah.
like, at least that's they're probably the most jealous band in like Europe. They're like, they're those guys. But
100% getting paid to live your dreams. Yeah, sounds pretty amazing.
that's pretty much it. But that was always good. Japan was insane. Like we did
Oh,
some,
wow.
and
Oh, that's a dream festival to go to for sure.
I was watching Weezer like took side stage like 2 meters away. I was like, this is nuts. Like it was
That's a
so good.
dream.
It was a dream. It was mad. And yeah, that whole festival was just it was I didn't realize that Japan like, my geography is awful. I always thought it was like snowing in Japan, but it was like 40 degrees and a typhoon came through and it was
Oh,
like
what?
yeah, it was nuts. It was so hot. And they so for our rider, they would like gave us like I think we had like 6 beers, but like 3 bottles of vodka, and and I was like, okay, like that's our rider, like we'll definitely take it.
Yeah.
But we had nothing to mix the vodka with, so we had the old Picari Sweat. Have you had that stuff
No,
before?
I have no idea what that is.
Like almost like electrolyte water, but
Oh,
it's got this really strange flavor to it, which is like uh, you definitely would mix it with vodka. But I was like hydrated, like drunk I've ever been. I was like, I can think perfectly, but my body can't move. But it's like I don't know. Like, and I was just walking around with like perfect hearing and just yeah, it was that was really really.
I gotta try that out. What was it
I
called?
think
Sorry.
oh Picari Sweat, but I'm sure you could just do it with like Gatorade and stuff. Just mix vodka
Yeah,
with Gatorade.
probably tastes a
Like,
little bit better.
yeah, and you would just be absolutely fine. Like
Wow.
you're balanced.
That's
Makes
awesome. Yeah, definitely got to get to Japan one of these days.
I
Just
swear.
for that. Just for that.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So I can only imagine that you guys have had a ton of downtime at this point. And because there's been so much downtime, I feel like artists have been either releasing their archived music or kind of speeding up their releases. What have been some of the things that you've been listening to, or what's been really your favorite things to come out of 2020 so far?
Oh, listening wise, yeah, I suppose it's like I said before, it's almost like a sort of like a checkpoint where you can be like, you know how sometimes music just goes woof, and you're like, I'm old now because I'm still trying to catch up with 2018 or
Oh,
what was happening,
yeah.
still finding releases. So it's been really good to almost get back to a point where being like, all right, I've got all this time to actually listen to these bands and stuff that I haven't not necessarily listened to, but not dived into properly. So, but man, I still love the old school stuff. There's like Kinks and T-Rex and those bands. But who out of 2020? I mean, Temple's just released a new track, which was like this, like
I love
shimmery
it.
banger. Yeah, it's
Hot
mad.
Motion?
That album was amazing. Yeah, we watched them at Desert Days, and that
Yeah, yeah,
is that
yeah.
track that it's. I think it is Hot Motion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that I think
that.
that came out late last year, but it's still
Now
fantastic.
they released a single like yesterday.
Oh
Like
no, I missed it. Okay, I gotta check that out then. All right.
yeah, but that was cool. Yeah, and then they were one of the best live bands ever. They had the old Mad Alchemist doing the lights at Desert Days.
Yeah.
I was
Desert
just
Days
like,
is the
whoa.
best.
Yeah, it was.
Got my poster right over there, right behind
Oh,
me.
he is a lord. He's an absolute lord. We got because yeah, we did a show with him in where it did one in some. We like drove like 4 or 5 hours like north. It might have even been like Portland or something where he came and
Okay.
did the lights and stuff. And
Yeah, that guy's all over LA. He does a lot of different shows. He when I saw Temples in LA, he was there too, and it really adds a layer of depth to it.
Lance, that's it. Lance, we were calling him Lance
Okay.
the Commander Lance. It looked like he was just on the spaceship. And we like, yeah, Desert Days, like some guy gave us in Nashville like these little like pyramid cubes, like the little acid droppers. And we were like,
Mhm.
I'd never seen like that before. Because in Australia, it's all just like on a piece of paper, but they were like pyramids, like little gummies. And it
Oh,
was in like, looks like it's going to be such a I don't know. I suppose all that is the same, but this was different. It was only happy, and I was at Desert Days, and we took there, and Lance was there, and he looked like this massive like on his spaceship, just kind of spinning this petri dish, and all these colors flying out of it. And we found him at like 4 a.m. on the back of those little carts, you know, those things that are like driven. I think that wasn't even a driver. He was just like, just staring. He was just like blowing his mind out. I was like, Lars.
It sounds like a good trip.
Yeah, he was so good. Come for a ride. We were just sitting in the stationary like little go-kart thing.
Wow.
Okay.
I feel like Desert Days is that type of festival where you guys are all just so similar in your sound. You're all going to be best friends, you know what I mean? Like you're meeting the people you listen to, you're meeting your idols. There's so much going on at that festival.
Literally in the backstage area that we had Temples were like just down the corner. We were opposite Conor Moccasin.
Mm-hmm.
And Pussy Riot was next door. So it was like, I was like, do we talk to Pussy Riot or are we allowed to talk to Pussy Riot? But like, you have so many questions for them. You're like, fuck yeah, like, most mad band ever. And then Tony Hawk came with Ween. And so Ween were like, oh, sorry, not Ween, with Devo.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Devo, yeah. And so Devo were like, oh, like knocking on everyone's doors. Like, we just made this wine from our Napa Valley vineyard. We were like, dude, that's fucking, they're offering us wine. Like, yeah, okay, we'll go drink some wine. And then Tony Hawk was there. We were all just like, nah. And this was as we were like, literally just started to trip. We're like, it can't be Tony Hawk. It is Tony Hawk. It's fucking Tony Hawk. Like,
what?
And that's the one. So he looks like he's 9 foot tall.
Tony Hawk?
Yeah. He's like,
oh my God.
And he sort of has this really easy turn and talks like really nicely and slowly, but like, such a nice guy.
That's amazing. Well, sure, I didn't know he had great taste in music, but apparently so.
Does.
That is awesome. Let's see. You know, at this point, I don't really have. I think I've covered pretty much everything I want to talk. I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but I really appreciate you taking this much time to speak.
Oh, no problem at all, man. Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, of course. What was I going to say? Yeah, so basically we're going to be turning this into a featured review on our website, and I hope that it's all right that we post this video as well.
Oh, good, man. As long as I look good, you're all right.
You look fantastic. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, again, my name is Austin. Thank you so much for taking the time. Super excited for the new album. We'll definitely be pre-ordering. And I hope that we can talk soon. Maybe we can set something up when the record's actually out.
And we're over in LA. We'll hit your message, grab a beer.
That would be fantastic. I hope it's sooner rather than later.
I hope so too, man.
Sounds
cheers,
good.
Austin.
Thank you so much again. Have a great rest of your day.
And you, man. Thank
you.
All
right. Bye-bye.